Is lying really such a bad thing? Or can we use happy lies to better our lives and the world around us? Well, of course we can. I learned all of this the hard way over 7 years ago when I got a phone call that was so unbelievable that my entire life would become divided into life before the call and life after the call. I just walked through the front door after a trip to the grocery store when I heard my son's Leafs ringtone chiming from my cell phone. The smile on my face grew even bigger as I shuffled all my bags to my left hand so I could fish my phone out of my purse and talk to my precious boy. Baby! Mom, I have something to tell you, and it's not good. What is it, honey? Well, you know how I've been going to the doctors for the past 2 years? Because every time I bend over, my face balloons up like a puffish? Well, yeah, but the doctors have all said it was nothing, right? Things got worse, Mom. My chest erupted in a web of blue veins that began bulging through my skin and creeping closer to my heart and my brain. So I pushed the doctors harder for answers. They did scans, and they found several avocado-sized tumors, and waves of smaller ones have taken over my lungs. It's cancer, Mom. And they say it's so far gone, there's nothing they can do now. And Mom, they say I might only have a couple of months to live. No. No, my mind shouted. Not my baby. Not my only child. I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face as I continued to listen. And Mom, please make sure they play the music from my favorite band, Phish, in my celebration of life. Promise me? This just didn't make sense. He was only 35 years old. I was in shock, and I couldn't accept what I just heard. I had to believe that the doctors were unintentionally lying, that they'd missed something, that there was a better way. And we needed a wave of hope, because a week after his diagnosis, they found out that his wife was pregnant with their second child, a child the doctors cautioned him he may never meet. Well, the PET scan and MRI told us the story of where we were, but we were determined not to let the doctors write the rest of Leaf's story with such a tragic ending. And we knew if we were going to take what the doctors told us was the cold, hard truth and turn it into a lie, then we were going to have to write our own version of his story with the biggest, boldest, most outrageous, and audacious happy lies that we could dream up, and then work tirelessly to make our story come true. And Leaf wasted no time. He found a specialist halfway across the country who prescribed an experimental new hardcore chemo cocktail to shrink the tumors down. Then he connected with the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, where Dr. Schrump and his team agreed to take Leaf on as a study patient and move forward with 2 surgeries, either one of which would take my son's life or save it. 2 grueling 12-hour surgeries, 2 months in ICU, and many procedures later. And Leaf was left with only 2 tiny spots in one of the lobes of his lung. A true miracle. Let me ask you this. When the original doctors said that Leaf didn't have long to live, were they lying? It sounds a little harsh when I put it like that, doesn't it? I think they were trying to prepare him for what they believed was going to happen, But Leaf was able to take their belief about what was true and turn it into a lie. And this is a great example of how we can make predictions about what's to come. We can set our intentions to do and create things. But all we really know is that the future is not written. And we can influence the outcomes in our future by deciding on the truth we want to create and telling ourselves happy lies that are audacious enough to get us there. After all, isn't that what Walt Disney did? Use happy lies to create the happiest place on earth. I found that the one thing that keeps people from going for their dreams is something that I call the inner critic syndrome. And one case stands out clearly. A client who I'll call Betty for privacy reasons came to me because she was anxious and began to self-harm. Now, Betty was triggered when she was laid off her job after 25 years, and she kept beating herself up, telling herself how worthless and incompetent she was. And her inner critic kept repeating these lies on an endless loop of criticism that played over and over again in her mind until things escalated and she started pulling large clumps of her hair out, making her realize she needed help. Once Betty recognized that her inner critic was telling her lies, she was able to reframe her stories from the past and see herself as being triumphant over those experiences. And that allowed her to embrace the power of happy lies to create a better future. And because of this, she gained more self-confidence, inner peace, and she stopped the hair pulling and regrew a luscious, thick mane of hair. But I've got a question for you. Have you ever told yourself that you're not good enough? You're not strong enough? You're not smart enough? Or that you are not enough? We all have, haven't we? But those are lies. So why not stop telling yourself disempowering lies and start telling yourself happy lies and letting that become your truth? Yeah. Because in life, we get to choose the truth that we want to create. And I know it can be really hard to do this because the voice of that inner critic can be so loud. So how do we silence that inner critic and turn up the volume on our inner cheerleader so that we can break the cycle of letting negative thinking determine our futures? Well, I have 3 simple steps that I highly recommend. Number 1, only accept the happy lies. Happy lies will make you feel good and feel empowered. Bad lies will make you feel weak, anxious, or afraid. And people can be quick to share their thoughts, opinions, and advice, but only accept the input that feels good, that feels right. Number 2, only tell yourself happy lies. You would never call somebody else names or tell them they aren't good enough. So don't talk to yourself that way either. The key to stopping the negative thinking is to go back to the original story that made you feel bad and rewrite it with you being the hero rather than the victim. When you look at the past, rewrite your stories that don't feel good. And when you look to the future, make all your lies about the future happy lies. And number 3, let the size of your dreams be the size of your happy lies. If you've got a really big goal, dream, or you're dealing with some heavy things, you have to make the lies bigger, better, and ridiculously outrageous. The more fantastic the lie, the more excited you'll get. And the more excited you get, the more you'll be motivated to make those dreams come true. Think about Leaf and how he used his happy lies and fished himself out of some pretty hot water. And now, my baby's doing so good. He's become an EMT in Burlington, Vermont, and he helps other people and serves his community. And yes, he's met his daughter, who is now 6 years old, and named after... And he named her after one of the members of the band Phish. And Leif gets to celebrate his own life by taking both of his kids to Phish shows any chance he gets. And he keeps telling himself that one day he'll get to meet the band and introduce his family to his idols. And I have a feeling he'll make that happy lie come true as well. And while Leif isn't entirely out of the woods yet, we'll keep using happy lies until he is in complete and permanent remission. You see, these happy lies have given us so much already. They've driven us to find solutions that have given us precious time. They've allowed him to have a better quality of life, both for him and all of us going through it with him. Our happy lies have given us hope. Hope that's allowed us to live in faith over fear. So when you think about Leif and his inspiring story, please visualize him in complete and permanent remission, happy and healthy. And if you're not completely on board with the idea of telling yourself happy lies to create a happier future, please give yourself permission to lie. Now, be honest with others and the world around you. But when it comes to the lies you tell yourself, let the size of your dreams be the size of your happy lies. And today, my wish for you is may all your happy lies come true.